Welcome to Chatting the Pictures. My name is Cara Finnegan, and I'm a writer, teacher, and historian of photography.
And I'm Michael Shaw. I'm a writer, a psychologist, and also publisher of Reading the Pictures.
At a moment where Joe Biden and the Democrats have the potential to fundamentally reshape the government, few are as influential and as focused as Bernie Sanders.
This photo was taken by Shawn McCreesh for the New York Times. It was taken during a sit-down interview between New York Times columnist Maureen Dowd and Senator Bernie Sanders at a diner near his office in Burlington, Vermont. Sanders would not be distracted from his agenda, and the photo is captioned, "The Man and His $6 Trillion Plan."
This picture is just quintessential Bernie Sanders, isn't it? We have his famed messy authenticity on full display. You've got the rolled up sleeves, the Bernie messy hair. He's got pens shoved in a shirt pocket. The table around him is messy. He's just finished eating. This is Bernie Sanders as we have come to know and love him.
I just love how old school the picture is, the diner, and it's right next to his office. So that must explain it. The fact that no one's noticing that he's there. So I'm sure he's a regular. And then lined notepaper, I don't get to see that very often. So I kind of enjoyed that also. And the rumpled shirt. So absolutely classic Bernie.
The lined notepaper with the scribbled pen list of what in fact are incredibly important things and policy proposals really suggests, Bernie's an analog guy in a digital world. And, there's a little bit of a juxtaposition there because the handwritten list that he is displaying, maybe even forcing on Maureen Dowd, juxtaposes a little bit with that digital recorder sitting on the table recording the interview. I'm also really interested in the fact that there appears to be a clock on the wall, kind of hovering above that list that Bernie's waving. It's the list that's been folded up. Clearly, he keeps it in a pocket or somewhere close by at all times. And the clock on the wall really, to me, kind of points to the sense of urgency about the things on this list. And, Dowd is pretty notorious for interviewing important people and asking them really fluffy questions. For example, in this interview, she invited him to weigh in on things like Britney Spears' conservatorship. But in the piece, Dowd reports that he really insisted they keep the conversation to what was on that list. So the clock on the wall, the urgency, his display of the list, really does highlight this kind of really single-focused commitment.
I think there's more going on in terms of politics and strategy in this photograph than we tend to think. This is really unusual and creative. Present the list of these agenda items for this reconciliation bill that Biden and Bernie and the Democrats are trying to present. Something like a $4 billion package with everything that's on that list, infrastructure and climate and childcare and higher education and housing. And, this in some way, I think, is Bernie taking an interview format and turning it into a photo op. And not only that, but it may turn out to be, one of the most important images that we'll see from this kind of New Deal administration.
In light of that, we can really think about the choice to do the interview in the diner, the display of the list, the kind of taking over of the interview, as you suggest, for his purposes. We can think about that in light of the visual environment that we get here. I'm really struck by the amount of what you might call diner yellow in this photograph. All this kind of authentic, down-home, real people kind of image, which, connects again to those public perceptions, not only of Bernie's own authenticity, right? He's a real guy who eats in a diner and drinks coffee with real people, but the down-home quality of that list. It's the kind of list that you might make at home, sitting around the kitchen table, trying to decide, where are we going to put our money this month? How are we going to pay our bills? And the fact that this performance is happening in this space, which is this very real down home kind of space, I think is very telling.